How can this be? How? The Hebrew for our question, echa, how, is the word that begins the biblical book of Lamentations, recited on Tisha B'Av, the day a few months ago during the summer when the Jewish world annually marks the destruction of ancient Jerusalem. Traditionally, Lamentations is chanted while seated on the floor in the dark. The prophet laments, "How can this be? Lonely sits the city. Echa yashva badad ha'ir." In the face of destruction and an outcry of pain and isolation, the prophet makes space to sit with his people, to sit with the question for which there is no answer. How? How can this be? In the face of destruction, in an outcry of pain and isolation, today we make space to sit with each other, to sit with the answerless question, echa, how? In this dark time, sitting with the question cannot leave us in hopeless despair. Sitting with the question, how, means we cannot always find the words. We cannot answer every question, yet still we do not avert our eyes. How, echa, how can it be that human beings brutally massacre vulnerable civilians and then celebrate their deaths? The cruel acts of terror and crimes of humanity are not strategies for resistance or for a two-state solution. They are strategies for eradication of my people and for the murder of all other people who get in the way, even those they say are their own people. How, echa, how can it be that human beings abduct the most vulnerable, young children, babies, and elderly Holocaust survivors, hold hostage Jews, Muslims, Druze, Christians, and even their own people? Please, God, may the hostages be released, be rescued. How, echa, how can it be that so many still call Zion a colonization? Colonization describes the Europeans, and this land we now call the United States. Colonizers do not return to a land where their people have lived for thousands of years. Colonizers do not find ancient artifacts with their very language inscribed. How, with history and culture, how can the world not be able to see both Jews and Arabs are indigenous peoples to the land? How, echa, how can it be that so many just don't understand what it means to be a Jew and to see, once again, 80 years later, Jews slaughtered in their homes, Jews forcibly taken from their homes, dragged out into the streets? How, echa, we sit with unanswerable questions. A few months after we recite echa, how can this be, in Lamentations, a few months after we sit with unanswerable questions each summer, that very same Hebrew word, with a tweak of its vowels, shows up in this week's Torah portion, Bereshit, creation. When God compels Adam and Eve, or perhaps God is compelling us all to find our footing, to figure out where we stand, God asks, "Where are you?" In Hebrew, ayeka. That unanswerable question, how, echa, becomes the question that must be answered, where are you, ayeka? No longer only sitting in darkness, in the question, we begin to stand, to search for light, for a response, and for holy purpose. Upon hearing, where are you, ayeka, I respond, God, I am here in your house with my people, Am Yisrael Chai, the Jewish people lives. Upon hearing, where are you, ayeka, I respond, God, I am in your world, heartsick to know the anti-Semitism fueling the Hamas attacks and the support Hamas has attracted in its atrocities is proof in itself that Jews need a safe haven. Upon hearing, where are you, ayeka, I respond, God, I am here, refusing to conflate Hamas, a repressive terrorist group who decades before the current situation in Gaza was dedicated to the extermination of the Jewish people. I refuse to conflate Hamas with the Palestinian people, whose self-determination I support. Arabs, Muslims, Palestinians are my fellow human beings. All of us, this week's Torah portion teaches, created in the image of God, B'Tselem Elohim, and I refuse to permit Hamas to lead me to racism, to xenophobia, hate, to turn me into one who dehumanizes the other. Upon hearing, where are you, ayeka, I respond, God, I reject the notion that a stance of condemnation of Hamas excludes advocacy for Palestinian self-determination. As a Reform Zionist, I am committed to the Jewish people's democratic homeland and also to the welfare of others. There is enough passion and compassion in our souls to hold both. Upon hearing, where are you, ayeka, I respond, God, I am here, studying with your people. I had the privilege of teaching many teenagers this week and felt so proud. They know they can stand with Israel, even as they disagree with West Bank occupation or Palestinian living conditions with undemocratic policies in the government. They can show empathy for the Palestinians, even while they are certain there is no justification for terrorism. If our teenagers can hold these complexities, so can we. Upon hearing, where are you, ayeka, I respond, God, I am here studying our holiest texts. In the biblical story of Deborah, I cannot stop thinking of the words she recites immediately after defeating her enemy, Sisera. Deborah says, quote, through the window peered Sisera's mother. Behind the lattice she wailed, why is his chariot so long in coming? Deborah's response to battle? Empathy for the grieving mother of her enemy. Earlier this week, in our gathering for congregants, I learned that half the Gazan population is under the age of 18. When the prophet Deborah opens her heart to the loss of her enemy's mother, she implores us, do not lose your humanity. Our tradition does not demand we withhold compassion from anyone. Upon hearing, where are you, ayeka, I respond, God, I am here honoring my many congregants who are having difficult conversations at work, online, in their activist circles. Upon hearing, "Where are you, Ayeka?" I respond, "God, I know where I am. I am on social media too much." A traditional Jewish text teaches us not to obsess in what we see on our devices. Hundreds of years ago, the text might not have known our exact device, but says in the Passover story, it was forbidden for the ancient Israelites to go out and watch the plagues. Quote, "You should not see with your own eyes the harm to those who hate you, lest the quality of vengeance or the feeling of cruelty take root in you." Upon hearing, "Where are you, Ayeka?" I respond, "God, I am here with our Berkman Merkaz Limud families who overflowed the lobby singing Hatikva for a video sent to our partner congregation in Jerusalem, Achva B'Kerem. Upon receiving it, one of their congregants replied, 'Your video is in such contrast to the videos which have inundated our reality. Thank you for this little bit of joy to start yet another stark day.'" Upon hearing, "Where are you, Ayeka?" I respond, "I am here in a religion and a peoplehood that has never been easy, but I am not alone. There are times we sit in the darkness of Echa, how, in the questions that have no answers, and we sit together. And there are times we stand in search of the light of Ayeka for a purpose, a response for holiness, and we stand together. Through the darkest times in our history, still, Jews, along with our friends, loved ones, and all who connect to our Jewish community, Jews stand together and cling to hope. Hatikva keeps us yearning for hope with its words, as long as within our hearts the Jewish soul yearns, as long as forward to the east looks the eye, our hope will not be lost. For the hostages, may hope never be lost. For the Jewish people, may hope never be lost. For Israel, the Palestinians, and their neighbors, may hope never be lost. For humanity, may hope never be lost. Amen.